let's dive right in. Yesterday, there were protests
There
across
were.
the country
Right.
in thousands of cities, not hundreds, like some of the newspapers are saying, thousands. And apparently, millions of people showed up somewhere. Oh, yes, very nice.
I heart if you like my resist mug because I'm using it intentionally to drink my third cup of morning tea, even though it's
Excellent.
afternoon now.
Yes, we love RGB, BG, Bader Ginsburg.
Yes,
I can never
even
remember if
though
it's red, blue, green, or
yes, Ruth Bader, RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Even though she should have stepped down, hubris. She is a flawed character in the end, even though she led a remarkably amazing life.
yes. But
Okay.
in lines with dissent, many of us dissented yesterday by going out. I know that you couldn't make it because your child was having a birthday party.
Birthday. My youngest, Nico, she turned 15 yesterday.
Oh,
And so
hang on. We got Sam says millennials and Gen Z unite. Yes, yes, Sam. And also maybe some Gen X in there as well.
the podcast is called genXy. I'm flattered.
We're with you. Don't forget us.
We are
I mean, we
united.
suck as a generation, but not me and Dana.
No, there are a lot of us Gen XY folks out there. We're the ones packing the Gen Zs, the snacks, and being like, We'll give you a ride. We're going to be right behind you. Dive into the crowd. Come back and find me. Here's what you need to know. Hey, Robert. All the
Nice.
X's
All
too.
the X's too.
At least
Yay.
all
We
the
got acknowledged.
yay. At least all
Finally.
at least all the Gen XY ones, not the shitty ones who put Trump in office. We apologize for our peers. We hated them too in high school, if that makes you feel any
Frederic,
better.
what's up,
Hi,
man?
Frederic.
Welcome. I did my hair. I did my beard. I was like, I can't go live and not have my hair done. Frederic will
Right.
totally call me out on that. So
He will. I brushed mine, so that was good. Yeah.
lovely.
I did not make any protests yesterday, as Lauren said, because it was my younger daughter's 15th birthday. And so I spent my day
Happy birthday, Nico.
yeah, we took her to Sephora and Big Sister got her, we got her an account, so she got her free gift. And Big Sister bought her some makeup. And then I took a big pile of teenagers to do pottery. It was so wholesome. You hear about the kids these days and how they are always on their phones, don't get me wrong. But like they made Pinterest boards to come to pottery. Like they brought their A game and like we
Damn.
haven't been there in many years because it was normally something little kids did. It was right next to a Tesla dealership, and I was wondering if there'd be people protesting there, but they were not because that's not our Seattle location for the big day of protests. But then we came back here, and there was cake, and there was all the things, and the friend just left about 25 minutes ago.
Nice.
So I very hurriedly put the couch together and brushed my hair and put on some lipstick for this. So yay.
Awesome.
You made it
And
to a protest in Raleigh,
way to
North
go, Sam. All
Carolina.
right. Represent for Raleigh.
Eh,
Excellent.
Throughout, actually, I should put a note in here. Throughout this, let's just keep saying, like, if you were at a protest yesterday, shout out and where were you? Seattle, I live in Seattle. There was a huge one downtown in Seattle Center, which we're going to talk to soon. And I was posting photos from it that friends were posting to me yesterday. Um, I was very sad I couldn't be there, but we have to remember to celebrate joy in the midst of all of this. And I could not bear to tell my 15-year-old, like, no birthday party. We got to go. We have to go protest. It was a super like, hey, oh, baby boomer. I'm like, we've got all
Robert's
the
representing the
generations
baby
here.
boomer contingent. Thank you. Thank God for
Thank
you,
you.
Robert.
Thank you. So yeah, we have to celebrate joy, and we did, and my child is a joyous thing. But I was very sad not to be there. I was having some serious FOMO. I also have to admit, I don't know if anyone else felt this, but I was, oh, hold on. I wish you had a birthday party too for your 6-year-old nephew. April 5th was, I guess, a good day to be born. Um, and I just totally lost my train of thought there because my thought went to, and a bad day to die because Kurt Cobain and Lane Staley, both Seattle-based grunge icons, died on April 5th, which is
Okay.
weird.
This is one of Dana's magic gifts. In addition to having an encyclopedic knowledge of music also remembers the birthdays of everybody she's ever met in her entire life.
Sometimes it's fading with age, Lawrence. I've just met too many people, but
Yeah. You know,
lots of
what's
nice.
interesting is it made me think that I was like, huh, what is 9 months before April 5th? July 4th. So hello, April
Oh,
4th and 5th babies your parents fucked on the 4th of July.
this is, probably I shouldn't say this on a live, but I will because Nico is the second born and is her older sister is just a little over 2 years older. So we were still like really in the thick of it with like this will shock you knowing my oldest child Lawrence, but she's a little demanding even as a toddler. Um, when I
Hmm,
found out I was pregnant, we were like, did we actually no memory of how Nico was conceived because it was a blur. So shout out to all those second born kids who somehow managed to get made. Because
nice.
boy, we're off topic from the protests, but I
I
do
went
know
to a protest yesterday
who
here in
did.
Fort.
Sorry, who went to one?
Me, I did.
You did, yes.
This guy.
Yes. Let's talk about you and your protest first, Lawrence, because your photo of your mom, first of all, I don't know if any of you saw this on Lawrence's,
I think I posted it 3 times. People probably saw it.
yeah,
It's my cute little 83-year-old mother holding a
I
sign that
love
says
her.
hands off our democracy and flipping off the camera. And unfortunately, we were there early. And so the way I angled the picture, it looks like nobody else was there protesting with us, but everyone was behind us. So um, literally hundreds, if not possibly into the thousands of people joined us in Fort Wayne, Indiana, which, being newly returned to Indiana for this first year, surprised me, and in a good way, because
Right.
I was worried that our little family we were gonna be the only people out there waving signs and protesting, and people would throw rotten eggs at us. Well, probably not rotten eggs, because who can afford those these days?
The eggs are not rotting. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know, canned beans, maybe something that would actually hurt. I was worried that it would
Oh,
be. I
I
was
heard.
worried that it would be weird.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. It was amazing. Like, if you didn't go to a protest yesterday, and there are many good reasons why people couldn't make it to protest yesterday. Maybe you're caring for people, or your kid had a birthday party, or you just didn't have the time, or you had to work that shift. Like,
Or
plenty of good
Lawrence, if
reasons.
you're a marginalized community, like we, you're at higher risk. Like
Absolutely.
completely understandable if you didn't show up.
Yeah. But there were, there was a great crowd here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and lots of amazing signs. I posted some of them on protest.photos, which is a website that I don't even know who's doing it, but they are collecting protest photos from across the country. If you want to feel inspired, what did I say earlier? Muse Uprising, like put on
Mhm.
Muse's Uprising and then go to that website and look through photos of
Yeah.
literally just everywhere across the country that people showed up. And it is inspiring, and it felt good to be there. It felt like really positive energy, and everyone was excited to be there. People were talking, people were making friends, which I think is such an important point. That part of, I think, what is going on right now in this country is we're all feeling so isolated, and I think those of us that
Mhm.
disagree with the current maniacal administration are feeling isolated and alone. Sometimes it feels like we're the only people. We can be on our keyboards and connecting with other people, but maybe in your hometown, especially if you live in a smaller town or just move someplace, it feels kind of isolating. And so
Yes.
if you couldn't go look at the pictures and listen to some uplifting music that you love, and at least get that spark, right? Because this is the happy part of what I'm about to say. Because I've got other things that I want to say about what we do next. But this is the happy part, which is connecting with other people who are feeling the outrage is important, and
Yeah.
reinforcing. So, yeah, I know you want to say something, Dana. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. I shared so many things in the last 24 hours of on Substack that I can't remember who said this, which I'm really sorry. I can't look obviously since we're live, but it was something to that effect of like how important it is to be surrounded by like-minded community and to realize how big that community is. I mean, I'm really lucky. I'm here in Seattle. Lawrence lived here for 29 years.
30, yeah, 29 and a half years.
And so here it's sort of a given that, I mean, you're an outlier if you're not liberal, but I know we are increasingly becoming an exception. So I even where I live, I felt it was so heartening. Like when I was driving with my daughters yesterday. For those who just joined, it was my younger daughter's birthday yesterday, so I did not get to go to a protest. But we were driving along a thoroughfare and a lot where the bus goes, and every stop was just mobbed with people with signs, and we were honking and waving, and my kids were like, "Mom, you're embarrassing me," and I was like, "I don't care. This is what you
I'm
kids. This
currently
is what you
saving
do."
your democracy, child. You will thank me in 20 years.
Right. So it just it was so heartening, both online through my social channels on Substack, like seeing all the signs, seeing all the people being very feisty. It was inspiring. I agree, and I was not there though, so I don't want to take um, too much glory away from you. I want to hear more about what happened, and I have a question actually, Lawrence. I, not gonna lie, was a little worried. And I've been to a bunch of protests. There was only one where I felt lightly unsafe. And at that one, like tear gas started going off and I left. So I was afraid more of like, oh, the police may overreact and tear gas. And they did. That was a few years ago. But at this one, I was legitimately scared that any Proud Boy, any just idiot who was like, let's go shoot some liberals, was going to drive. I mean, Seattle is a sanctuary city. The big protest was at Seattle Center, which is where the Space Needle is, a public park where the Space Needle is. It was all around this big public fountain. There's so many ways in and out of there. And I was like, God, if someone were to come open fire, would there be recourse? Right? Like the way our government is going now, wouldn't there just be this big momentum around like, oh my God, they deserved it? Or I, the proud, like, all the people who protested at January 6th are free and are out there. And so I was scared. Was there like an atmosphere of fear at all in the audience? The audience? What am I saying? It
The
wasn't a
audience,
concert.
yeah.
Among
Um,
the protesters, Lawrence, was there a sense of, was anybody acting worried or was it just
no,
camaraderie?
I didn't see anything like that.
Good.
So, you know, I've written about my brother-in-law previously. He
Hmm.
was in the Army National Guard for 30 years. He was actually deployed to Iraq during the Iraq War. And retired with honors, and great guy. Went on to become a fourth grade teacher, and he is trained to use weapons. He is a
Right. Of
gun
course.
aficionado, right? He recently bought an AR-15. I wrote about this, um, about how easy it is to use, about how even a non-gun using nincompoop like me could fire it and hit the target 3 times in a row, like it, mind-bogglingly easy to use. But my brother-in-law knows what he's doing around weapons, and I don't know if he was carrying yesterday. He may have been. That thought made me cross my mind and made me feel marginally safer. And also, I don't know that anyone felt scared. I can only speak to my experience. What I felt was sort of a righteous power, that if
Good.
anyone had had the audacity to come and screw with the crowd, that it would not have been people running for their lives. I fear
Right.
it would have been, well, not fear, I think it would have been, people basically like ripping people limb from limb, whoever the attacker was. I think there might have been an actual fight. And I know that is possibly ridiculous to say in the face of weapons like AR-15s, but um, it crossed my mind that yes, something bad could happen.
Yeah.
As a gay dude who's been going to Pride for the last 30 years, it's always crossed my mind at Pride. Like I have always worried that someone could do a
Right.
crowd thing in at a Pride celebration. So this didn't feel. It was not an atmosphere of fear. It was,
Good.
I think, a real feeling of solidarity, and solidarity is actually a word that I want to talk about today or later in terms of kind of what we need to feel and do next as as citizens. But again, the overall feeling was kind of a joyous uplifting. People were walking around and saying hi to each other, and everyone was taking pictures of everyone else's amazing signs. And um, yeah, Sarah, I heard about agitators in other places as well, but I didn't see anything in Fort Wayne. What's interesting, I don't know if anyone else saw this. Someone posted from New York City where they had just an absolutely massive turnout, and there
Right.
were virtually no cops on the street. And someone, spoke to a cop at one point. And he was like, "We've only got 44 people here right now. We didn't actually think anyone was going to show up. Please don't tell anyone that we don't have enough cops here." But it was kind of like such a peaceful, self-organizing crowd that it went off without a hitch. If something had gone wrong, I think that could have, yeah, would have been a disaster. But
What
um,
did they so, Lawrence, I think you touched on something there. I don't mean to cut you off. So we sometimes like do a trial run before we get on and talk, but today we were like, we're just going for it. So, um, but Lawrence, you said that about they didn't think and people were going to show up. And I talk to my mom every Saturday. She's like liberal. She's like a South Florida liberal, right? Older South Florida liberal. So she watches, CNN and NBC. Like she always has the news on in the morning and is reasonably informed. I swear I'm hearing that feedback again. I'm sorry, you guys. I have to hold the phone or it seems to be making weird noises.
that's okay.
You
Do
don't
do
care
what
if
you need to do.
I just hate that I might be making people seasick. But um, I was talking to her yesterday and I was like, "Where are the protests near you?" And she was like, "What protests?" She had no idea. And I was like, "Mom, it's kind of a big thing. April 5th. Like this is not new. This is for weeks. I feel like it's been everywhere that there are going to be hundreds, thousands of protests." She lives in a reasonably big city. I'm pretty sure there was probably one in her neighborhood or close to it. She had no idea. And so I know, Lawrence, we have texted a bit since yesterday's protests about the media's coverage. And I think that's going to be a big focus of what we both have to say about this. um,
Yeah, it's
how did she not know? Or how is it possible my mom, who watches, she wakes up and watches the news every day, didn't know?
I I mean, I can't answer that question on behalf of your mom's viewing habits or news sources, but I it seems impossible to me, right? So my family, we live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're all very liberal. We fight about politics all the time, but it's funny because we are all on the same side. We're fighting about nuance.
Yeah.
And all of us watch MSNBC or are on Substack or social media. We all knew about the protests, and we went, and it. I don't know how somebody. I think this is the much bigger conversation of how. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
It's a bigger conversation about how much of the country is underinformed or ill-informed about everything that's going on. And you know we could unpack this conversation forever about why our media sources are so biased. And yeah, exactly, corporate media doesn't want us to know, which is why we're here on Substack talking to each other. Exactly. So I posted something earlier today about the front pages of the New York Times, right? So the digital front page
Yes.
had no picture, a headline well below the digital fold of the top half of your page before you have to scroll. No picture, simple headline, no text. You had to click on it to understand what it was about. And the print version had a picture with very little text, and then it said page A19 or something. They buried the story deep into the section. And I commented on this, and Frederic, who I think is here listening, commented back, and he was like, "Because a billionaire owns the New York Times," and it's
Yep.
true. Bezos owns the Washington Post. I don't remember the guy who owns the New York Times now. But clearly, these are things that the media doesn't want us to know or focus on.
Right. I looked
And
at CNN.com and it was the they usually have like a hero image and story, and then it was the next two stories, but there were no images. It was just like people are protesting. Hey, people are protesting.
right, shh, that's why people are protesting.
Right. Yeah, and I texted you right before this started, Lawrence, that
Right. I was going to say, yeah, tell everyone about that.
here, let's see, experiment. Can I? Oh no, I can't do that. Okay,
Don't do
I can't.
that.
Yeah, I can't. Don't do that. I thought it would go miniature, but it doesn't. Learning Substack, you guys, real time. So Seattle is very liberal, and we used to have two primary newspapers, and we don't anymore. We have one and a few other sources, but they're all owned by, is it Sinclair Media? They're all owned by a very conservative outlet. So it's this very odd thing where Seattle is very liberal, but our news is not. I unsubscribed to it ages ago, but a friend posted, who had gone to the rally here, posted the story on, I can't remember which local affiliate it was, but
It was Como 4, a Sinclair
it was Como 4. Okay.
station. Yeah, I lived there for 29 years. I
Yeah, yeah.
remember.
I just didn't remember which one it was because
Yeah.
Swiss cheese for a brain. Um, but the only source they quoted was like a Republican official about, and it was like, "Whoa, they're just misunderstanding Trump's policies." Like
Right.
that
It
was
was
the
the
only.
Republican state party chair.
Thank you for
Yeah.
remembering better than I am. Sinclair's propaganda. Yeah, they completely are, and having them represent Seattle, it feels this particularly egregious. But I've seen photos, aerial photos of Seattle Center, and lots of anecdotal from folks who were there, and it was mobbed.
Yeah.
And to put this down to like, oh, people just don't understand Trump's policies, and to run that in possibly the most liberal city in the country, in the only we are the state that every single state in this last election veered more red, which is
Yeah.
impossible to me, but we'll just accept that as true, whether or not it actually was.
Right.
Washington skewed the least red. And if you go east of the mountains, if you leave the city of Seattle, really, everybody is voting for Trump. So Seattle is this just bright blue dot. And here we have this, our local news source being like, oh, well, you all just don't understand the intent of what Trump is doing. That's all this very minor little
Right. Silly
protest. So
liberals.
yeah. So, and I'm sure if you go on, if I looked in the comments, I'm sure it's all full of people who live outside the city, like, I'm not going to use a derisive
Well,
term here, but you know what it would say.
and
Yeah.
part of the issue, I think, we've been talking about the underrepresenting of the protests in the papers and in the media, and that particular article, the Como, news blurb that went along with the
Hmm.
link to the video, said something like, I don't know, thousands of protesters at Seattle Center joined hundreds of protests in hundreds of other cities, and I was like, it was actually thousands of other cities. Like, it was more than 1,000 cities. It
Yep.
just felt to me like, oh, dozens of people showed up and joined,
Right.
five other cities in showing some mild displeasure. It's just the most blatant whitewashing and dumbing down and
Yep.
smoothing over of what felt in person like a really vigorous opposition movement beginning to coalesce and develop.
Yep. Sarah, you're completely right too. You can't write that off, but they're still going to try. Um,
can i
yeah.
can I say another thing here? So
No, no, stop. I'm just kidding. Yes, stop.
wrong live, sorry everybody, I'm gonna So I don't know how many of you follow Ken Klippenstein on Substack or other social media places. He posted something today where he actually went. I think he's in Madison, Wisconsin. He went to the protest and literally, interviewed people and recorded them and transcribed what they were saying. And people were protesting everything, right? It wasn't just Trump or tariffs or, illegal deportations or, it wasn't just Musk and Doge or billionaires. It was everything. It's all of it. Like everyone, yes, Frederic, exactly. It was worldwide. People were protesting in Europe. Spain had tons of protests. It is everything. We're all having this moment of finally coming together and coalescing. And I think it's not about left and it's not about right. It is about a common sense approach to democracy and capitalism. And I think the point that I want to make, right, the big segue that I want to get to is I think it needs to be a discussion around centering the Constitution back in the national conversation. A thing that my brother-in-law has talked about that makes a lot of sense to me is, we make kids take a pledge of allegiance to the flag, which is actually sort of
Creepy.
dumb, because the flag is just a symbol. It's just, it's a lovely symbol. I love our flag, but it's just a symbol of the country. The thing that is actually our country is this: the Constitution of the United States of America. It is literally the code, the operating system that is our country. And we have all forgotten about, or let our government officials and our media elide the truth that this is the most important thing. And if people in elected office are not adhering to this as it, God, I don't want to be a strict constructionist and say as it's written, but like with a heavy dollop of common sense, if you cannot adhere to this, then you're fucking doing it wrong. And I think that part of what we're looking at right now, and I know I'm not the first person to say this by any means, it's an obvious conclusion. Congress has completely abrogated, or whatever the word is, stepped away from their responsibility. And I think, part of what shows up in Ken Klippenstein's article, I swear, there's a thing, I'm doing the weave now, Dana.
Oh,
There's a purpose.
yes.
He had multiple people reply to him, it's about the Constitution. It's about the fact that we as a country have strayed so far from our founding document that things feel like they're out of control, because they are. Because
Hmm.
Congress actually has oversight over tariffs, not the executive. Congress has war powers, not the executive. Congress has oversight, all this oversight ability that they've just completely walked away from. And if there's a movement that we can build, and if there's a nucleus or a core around what that movement is, in my mind, the key words are common sense, like body autonomy and fiscal responsibility, and making sure that America is strong and safe and secure, but that we are also, making sure that all of our citizens have health care and food and housing, like some fundamental things that should be rights. I can't remember, Frederic, if you said this the other day or if it was my brother-in-law, but like there are core things that should be guaranteed rights that we should be doing first as a nation. So it's common sense and the Constitution. And I think if we could organize people around those two things, maybe that's where we start to actually build a coalition of people. And at this point, I don't care if they're left or right. I don't care. Liz Cheney should want to join this coalition, right? And Kinzinger should want to join this coalition, and AOC and Bernie. Like, if we say we've got a coalition that's centered around this, what American isn't going to, who, other than possible Russian assets, would not want to organize around the Constitution of the United States? So I'm going to take a big breath and
Yeah.
let you say something, because I'm
Yeah. This
getting
is
on
your
my the
fiery
fun thing.
moment.
If
And
you
as as you were talking, Lawrence, I, I feel like anything that is um, very American, traditionally American and patriotic, I now like it's awful, but I feel like a gut like ugh reaction to it. When I see a flag on someone's house, I assume they're on the wrong side now. And I
That's
think that
interesting, because I don't, right? And it's
right.
not just because I'm living in Indiana. I see the flag and I still want to assume goodness. The people who ruined the flag are MAGA, the people who
Yes.
flew fuck
But
Biden flags and horrible Kamala flags and all the frickin' Trump flags. That's MAGA. Like,
yes, but my point is more that they're sort of fetishizing these like core, like the founding fathers and the flag and even the Constitution. They bring it up, but most cases in recent times, when you see those symbols, that's what they tend to denote. Um, and and what I love about what you're saying is not only we need to take them back, but also they don't understand the core one. Like, hell, our education system has been in for the last several decades. Like, I would guess a lot of I'm going to use the word fetishizing again. Those who fetishize our current president and everything he stands for will pound on their chest about the founding fathers and not burning the flag and how, you know, their amendment rights. But like, other than the second one, do they know the amendments? Could they
Right.
tell you what's in the Constitution? Because if they're not recognizing, like, I am not a nationalist. Like, I don't get excited about religion or country. Like, to me, they are happenstance. I happen to be born here. There's things I love about being here, and there's things that I especially now loathe about being here. But I do um I find myself like, how are you like a little bit of a tangent. How are you golfing when these like the fallen military for
Right.
that
The
had
four
the
soldiers who were killed in Lithuania. Yeah.
yes. Like, I am not a raw military. It's like, I respect, but I'm not one to get outraged easily, but like, it's the other side that waves that flag and gets outraged, and they let everything slide, so much so that I'm the one horrified that he let that happen. I'm the one who's like, as a-religious as they come, but I'm like, we're all our brother's keepers, you guys. Like, literally, we have to take care of each other, because when some of us are suffering, it will drag all of us down. Even you billionaires who don't think this will impact you, it will impact you less. But you need people who can work. You need people to be healthy around you. I'm
Right.
going on a little bit of a weave here, Lawrence, but to bring it back to the Constitution, I haven't I haven't looked at a copy of a constitution since we were in high school. I
Sure.
couldn't recite what it says, but I like where you're going with this, and I want you to keep going. And it looks like we've got a comment here. Sarah, I'm with you, Dana, but more in regards to people flying the flag on their cars. Yes, that's true. Um, if they're flying a flag on their car, they're like automatically eliminated in my mind. Like, there's just, it always has a Trump flag next to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have correctly deduced that I'm going somewhere with this. There's a thing that, in light of yesterday, in light of the protests, right? Because part of, so again, I went with my family, and I think naturally we went to lunch afterwards and kind of talked about the experience, and all of us agreed, like, wow, that was great and energizing, and it felt so good, and it was great to connect with neighbors. And what do we do next? And maybe the biggest worry is, are the people who went to the protests, are Democrats or liberals or centrists who are horrified with Trump, are we going to get complacent that, like, yay everybody, good job, you showed up on April 5th and you protested and seen, like, no, we're not done, we can't be done. Somebody said somewhere something like 5 million people showed up to the protest, right, which is great. And there's been this thing going around, I'm sure you've probably said it or seen it, that successful revolutions, successful movements, mass movements need 3.5% of the population to kind of mobilize and to really make an issue their big central theme. And for the US, that would be about 11 million people. So there's a
Almost half.
temptation, I think, to look at yesterday and be like, oh, good, 5 million people. Well, we just need to double that next time and we'll be there. And yes, Frederic, exactly. This is where I'm going. We need to teach people how to be in community. And I think we need to give them a thing that they can do and kind of form community around. Like, I don't know. I read American Revolutionary History. I love Revolutionary War and American history. And I hear about the committees of correspondence, and I'm kind of like, how do we do that again? I kind of think what we're doing on Substack might be committees of correspondence as well. But a thing that I was talking about again with my brother-in-law, who served honorably in the military for years, is he took an oath to the Constitution, right? Like, he took the oath to the Constitution. I mean, I know there are variations of it. If you're in the military, you say it one way, and if you're president, you say it another way. And Frederic, I'd love to hear from you, man, because I know you were a Marine and you took that oath. And one of the people, that we were talking about getting on this show, Melissa, was in the Navy, right? She took an oath to the
Melissa
Constitution.
Corrigan, yeah, the
Melissa Corrigan.
Counter Story Media. I want to talk. I want you to go first, but I can tell you something she's doing that's really cool too. But keep
Yeah.
going.
So I've never taken the oath.
Me
I'm a gay
neither.
dude in my mid 50s. I'm just a citizen, right? Just a citizen. I've never taken the oath to the Constitution because when in our lives are we required to take it? I mean, unless we're joining the military or getting sworn into the Supreme Court or Congress, or a naturalized citizen, somebody who applies for citizenship and becomes a citizen takes an oath to Constitution. Average Americans never have. Like you said, how many people have a copy of the Constitution? $10 at Barnes and Noble, everybody. I bought one because we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago and it has stuck with me ever since. I want to take the oath to the Constitution. Oh my God, I might actually cry right now. Because I don't know what to do next, but I know what I want to do next is to honor this document and to help be a part of whatever happens to move this country forward. So, with your permission, and don't make fun of me if I start crying, I'm going to take the oath to the Constitution right now in front of all of you. And I kind of want us to make it the ice bucket challenge, right? The resistance movement ice bucket challenge. Take the oath to the Constitution. Because if you read the Constitution and if you take the oath to the Constitution, it is clear as day that the thing that we should all be doing right now is standing up and demanding that Congress take its power back, and that we all need to adhere to this document, the operating system of our country. Okay,
I
so
love
here I
it.
go. Constitution, right hand. Oops, I'm bumping my camera. I'm going to look off screen because I've got it right here. I, Lawrence Winnerman, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States, maybe not that one. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will take this, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of citizen of which I am about to enter, so help me God. So I didn't mean to read the military one, which pledges allegiance to the president. But I think the point is, I want us to take the oath. I want every citizen, every thinking and feeling citizen, to take the oath to the Constitution. Because if we're not doing that, and if we're not honoring the Constitution, then what are we doing?
That was beautiful, Lawrence. Where did you find the oath? Did you just Google it? How do you
Well,
have to?
I chat GPT'd it. Which gave me several variations, and I specifically was like, okay,
Nothing
not the
wrong with that.
naturalized citizen one, although maybe the naturalized citizen one, because it basically makes you forswear your allegiance to any other country or form of government. So I just took the regular oath. There's a military one that I had accidentally scrolled down to, so I don't know. Chief Justice
Do you want to
Roberts would probably.
re-record it? Do you want
Yeah.
to say it again, but to do the non-military one so that you have, I think you should so that we can clip that because I don't want the version with the allegiance to the president being the
Okay.
one that goes viral,
Sorry,
Lawrence.
everybody. I'm going to do it
Redo
again.
it. Redo,
All right,
redo.
here's my constitution that I'm putting my right hand on, or left hand on. I'm raising my right hand. I, Lawrence Winnerman, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of this office, citizen, on which I am about to enter, so help me God. Actually
Beautiful.
fucking felt really good. It felt really damn good to say that out loud with people watching, because I can't think of what else we can do and organize around other than the actual thing that is the fundamental piece of our country.
I
You
love it.
know, We need to. All right, I've monopolized the conversation. I want to hear what other people think. Actually, hey Frederic, if you're still around, can we add Frederic to the conversation? I'd
I don't.
I'd love to hear what he thinks about it. Frederic, are
He
you cool with
he
that?
gave an amen.
All right.
And Lawrence, Andrew says, "Nice one, Lawrence. What's tragic? You probably can see this too. Is that all those representatives of the people at the top who've taken the oath are either ignoring it or trashing it? Yes, and I think that's what's so interesting about what you're doing. Imagine if this catches on." And like thousands of people across social media are challenging our Frederick,
What's up,
not
Big
challenging our
Coffee?
What's up,
Frederick.
man?
They're challenging our officials to do this. Where
I
are
love
you,
it.
Frederick?
What do you think? You've done
I
it. You've
love it,
taken the oath
man.
to that Constitution.
I love that. That's awesome, dude. Like, I mean, if you don't, you have to take, like, the thing I've always kind of preached is you have, like, being a citizen in a democracy is an obligation. And it may not be a military obligation, but it doesn't work if you don't treat it like that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like somebody was talking, like, the big Schadenfreude that's going around right now is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dave Portnoy, the guy who runs Barstool Sports.
I'm not
And
familiar with that.
well, yeah, recently he got famous by doing Barstool Sports, and that's kind of like the precursor of online betting and all that stuff. And
Right.
and then he also does pizza reviews and stuff. And he's like a bro guy, does crypto and everything else.
Okay.
So he he's like, oh, I don't like Trump here, but I like him here, but I'm going to vote for him because, that's going to help me.
Brilliant.
And too many people they have that mentality is like, what's in it for me?
Right.
I just want to lower my taxes, right? I like, that's all I care about. I don't care if other people get hurt. I don't care if other people do without. I just want my taxes lowered, right?
Yep.
And I think where we've got to get, like, the harder question for us, right, is, as a society, is it's getting back to that Wisconsin idea. This idea that government is there to help stabilize and build communities, right?
Love that.
That because that's where progressivism started, was in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. It was called the Wisconsin idea, and that comes through obligation. It's this juxtaposition that where you realize that by helping a community, by helping others, I get more freedom, right? If I help with homelessness, I can walk down the street at night. You know,
Yep.
I have a better
Yep.
city to live in,
That's the whole we are our brother's keepers.
right? And I
That's
and
yes.
I think, while some people may say what you just did, Lawrence, is hokey, it's like, no, like,
It's earnest.
that's what you need to do, right? If it's you as a citizen, the Constitution for us as Americans is that is literally our social contract.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what that is. It is
Yep.
our social contract. And if we're not upholding, if we are not making our politicians, our leaders that we elect, adhere to that document, what do we like? We're not only hurting ourselves, but what are we doing?
Right. We're literally ruining the document that is supposed to be the operating system of the country. If our senators and our congresspeople aren't going to, Article 1 of the Constitution is the organization of the Congress
Mhm.
because the framers believed that the Congress was first among equals of the three co-equal branches of government, right?
Yeah.
Congress is supposed to have the most power because it is the branch that most represents the people. And so if our congresspeople aren't actually doing their jobs and, oh, I don't know, reviewing tariff deals and approving them, right?
Right.
Or approving us going to war, then what are they doing?
We've gotten into this notion. we've let ourselves, I think, become convinced that we can farm this out to someone else, right? And look, I get why people have done that. Like everybody, we're working longer hours.
Yep.
You know, we have more obligations and more responsibilities, all that stuff. But it's kind of like putting off things that you have to get done that just build up and build up and build up. And now we're here, right?
Totally. Yep.
And so it's like, that's great. We protested. We're showing that, hey, we have a lot of people power. And everyone else has seen the hands off protests and a lot of people power, right? What are we going to do with it? And the thing is, look, I'm not, and again, I am not disrespecting anybody. I'm not saying, hey, like do more, but it's just you sign up as a citizen in this democracy. It's part of who you are. You have to make that as part of who you are. And to
Right.
Dana's point earlier, being an American isn't just I put a flag outside, I'm good, right? Like, let's say you're for trans rights. You put a trans flag out there, right? Or you put a gay flag, pride flag, whatever you want. And then the moment comes when you're at work and people are disrespecting somebody or saying something against a gay person, and you don't say anything
Right.
Oof.
or you don't do anything.
It's just
Right.
performative.
Right. So here's the thing is like everybody, like I couldn't attend a protest yesterday because I'm caregiver for two people. One of them is immunocompromised. So I get in a big crowd, I bring home some kind of bug. I might be okay, but my family member might not be, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're totally, you were excused. That's important.
yeah, but it's like, I'm thinking, what the hell can I do? Right? I'm listening to Warren Zevon. And the reason I was listening to that, I had a professor, Dr. William Burgess at ETSU. And on the outside of his door, he had all these like different comics and stuff, whatever. And right in the center was that line from Lawyers, Guns, and Money that said, "Send lawyers, guns, and money. The shit has hit the fan." And that's how I learned who Warren Zevon was. I had no
Yeah.
idea who this guy was. So I was listening to it. I said, you know what? This is my protest. Trump caused all this.
Yeah.
That's my
I loved it.
protest.
I saw you yesterday holding up that paper, and I thought it was, beautiful and simple and, powerful. That we all need to register our discontent, and just kind of replying to one of the things that you said earlier. I think what struck me about the oath of the Constitution is I never had to take it. Right? There was
Right.
people are born into citizenship in this country without ever thinking about what it means, right? And you said this at kind of when you first joined us. There are responsibilities that go along with our rights as citizens. We all talk about our rights. My rights are
Mhm.
being stepped on, my rights are being hurt, my feelings are hurt, whatever. But there are responsibilities too. And I
Yeah.
think most
Yes.
people haven't spent a minute thinking about what their responsibilities to this country are.
Being a citizen is not customer service.
Oh my God, yes. Put
You
that on a
don't
shirt.
you don't complain to the manager, and it's like it's part of an obligation, right? You're not going to sit down at a restaurant and get served democracy,
Oh, yes,
right?
preach.
You're helping to create that meat, like you are helping to run this restaurant. You're helping to cook that meal. You are taking an active part in being a citizen.
Yes, JJ.
Right,
And the thing that's awesome about that is a king dictates to you what your rights are. A tyrant tells you what you get,
Mm-hmm.
right? Part of the deal of you being in as a citizen in a society is you get a say. You
Right.
know, it's like, hey man, I helped build this place. I
right,
helped set this table. This ain't enough.
right.
Yeah.
You
Well, and
know,
even if,
And
I think about kind of the generations before that did actually build the country or that did actually fight in the wars that kept us safe. And I think we don't feel that urgency as deeply because, like you said,
Not at all.
we expect democracy to get served to us on a platter,
Mhm.
and somehow maybe that we only get to, we have the privilege of picking and choosing the pieces that we like, and that's not it. Like, if you're signed up for this full document, then you got to be responsible, and some of your rights and privileges do actually need to be balanced against the rights and privileges of other people. It's the you can't yell fire in a crowded theater kind of thing. And I just think too many of us have come to expect that democracy just is and is going to continue to operate without any input or allegiance from us. And that's just not true. And we're seeing it right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to jump in and say we're getting so many great comments in, or so much great feedback in the comments. So I just texted, like, I can't even name everybody anymore because they're going by so quickly, but I'm reading them all and cheering you on. Thank you for being active participants here, you guys. S- just
Yeah.
yes, we're cheering you on here, and um,
And
while I have
future
the
request
floor.
to Substack, we'd love to be able to see the comments after the live is done.
Yes, they disappear. It's so frustrating because
I
I would love
know.
to go back and read them. But Lawrence, one thing as we're talking, like I loved a lot of folks just joined, but earlier, in case you missed it, Lawrence took the oath to the Constitution, and he was talking about how naturalized citizens have to take it, folks in the military have to take it, but we average citizens don't. Like there's no active step. We are just
Right.
passively.
Somebody in the comments reminded me that all government employees have to take.
Yes, and
Yeah.
government employees have to take it. What I love about what we're all talking about here, about you don't just sit at the table and expect to be served, there has to be something active, but so many of us don't know what action to take, right?
Right.
I'm just having this vision of like thousands of people getting on Substack or other social media platforms and off Substack, maybe tagging their elected officials or using a hashtag and saying, like, I'm taking this oath. You took this oath. Like, you need to take action now because we can't. We're not in Congress.
We elected you to take action. Yeah.
Yes, you represent all of us. Don't forget we're here. And like having this momentum around taking an active oath versus being a passive, like
Right.
a
A
passive
customer, to
citizen.
continue Frederick's great metaphor, right?
Yes,
Like
Yeah.
you expect to sit down and get served in a timely
you need to
fashion.
cook,
You get your democracy pie. No, you got to go bake that pie. You got to
right? Go find a
take the oath to make it
recipe.
right.
Right, and then you got to prod the cooks to get it in the oven, and make sure it reaches the right temperature if we're going to really beat this metaphor down. But I it's so simple, Lawrence, and it's if you have a kid with a birthday or a sick family member and you can't make it to the protests, I think when we post this, Lawrence, why don't we cut and paste the content of the oath there with like a call to action of like
Yeah.
everyone who's on this call, everyone who sees the story, like take the oath 2025, right? I'm going to do it. And I am the least rah rah patriotic person you could meet typically. Like, but I'm kind of fired up.
The
But
thing that
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Frederick.
No, you got it. You got it.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the thing that I really like about that idea is who could object, right? Like, who among
Hmm.
us as an American citizen, what president or senator or congressperson or MAGA right wing person could object to regular people taking the oath to the Constitution, right? Like, why would you? How can you? This should be a thing that everyone can do because we're
Yes.
citizens. And I think if you brush up on your Constitution and you read the oath, it really starts to sink in. It's my job as a citizen to do this and to stand up and make sure that we're following the rules as they were written.
I think a lot of folks I think most people want to do good, like they want to do this, right? They want to do the good thing. They want to,
Right.
but just like a lot of things, like people tend to look at the big picture or they look at the big thing, right? And they're like, man, I can't match that. You know, how the hell am I going to get 50,000 people to show up on this? Or how am I going to do this big thing? And the thing you is it's not about it's not about like you singularly having this massive impact. One of the things that would kill me about Democratic county parties, right? Especially in rural areas, is what people want from their elected officials is they want change that is measurable and meaningful,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And what does that mean, right? Well, why don't is picking up trash on the side of the road, like, or in a neighborhood, is that measurable and meaningful? Yeah. Going down and volunteering in an animal shelter with you know, like whoever you're working with. Like, let's just say you went to the Fort Wayne, Indiana protest, right?
Yep.
Say you met 4 or 5 people and you said, you know what? Let's have a weekly meetup at a diner and we're going to discuss X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And then you meet up and you go, hey, what civic organization, what do we want to volunteer for? Oh, we're gonna do an animal shelter. We're gonna do a homeless shelter. We're gonna go volunteer a Saturday here. And then you go and you say you're like, we're the Fort Wayne whatever we are, right? And this is us, and take a picture. Here we're doing this, and we're doing this because we care about our community, we care about our country.
I love it. I
You
love it.
just made a difference.
Yeah.
And
Me-
that's all you got to do. Like,
Yeah.
that's is when you so if we all start doing that and we all start just doing little things for our communities, right? Because then maybe you meet somebody or they see you go, oh man, that's what you guys do.
Right.
Like, yeah, well, I thought you guys were political. Well, we are, because we care about our community,
Right.
right? You know. And so then it's like, then you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 20, and you go, hey guys, city commissioners are meeting. Let's go to the city commissioners meeting and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And then you go to that. When I was in Johnson City, Tennessee, we lost a city commissioners race by less than 100 votes in a city of 60,000 people.
Mm.
Oof.
100 votes. And so the thing is, how do you organize on that level, on that small of a level, is you start getting active in your community,
Yep.
Yep.
you know.
Yes,
And
PJ they commented in, we need to become rah-rah patriotic. It's necessary now. And Robert had a great comment here about, he's been around since Vietnam. Sorry, I'm jumping in a little bit. There's so many good
sure.
comments here. And then someone wants you on Jim Acosta's here, who is, oh, it's PJ again. You need to get on the Jim Acosta show on Substack. Yeah, get us on there.
You
Frederic
know,
could be on there easily. Frederic, I would listen to you read the phone book, man.
man,
Yeah.
thank you. I love you guys. That's I was like, I said, oh, you guys are live. Let me go ahead and take a look,
I love it.
Oh, so glad you
And
joined.
I well,
Saving
No,
years
I
in the
didn't want to.
country, Robert.
I was like, should I ask? I was like, I kind of want to jump in and talk to my buddies.
And
I.
then
And then I was
Lawrence
like,
is
no,
like,
no,
get
dude,
on in
it's
here.
their show. Like, you don't have to be on every one, even though I
Yeah.
want. Even
Yeah.
though I
Oh
was
No,
my
like,
God.
we love you, man. We
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 do.
literally talked. We were like, man, we really want to ask Frederic, but maybe we're coming on
I,
too strong. Maybe that's too
no,
much.
like
right.
because to me, this is like, look, this is what's awesome, right? Dana's in Seattle, you're in Fort Wayne, I'm here in Colorado, right? And like, I'm in the Denver metro area, like, and here we are, we all care about the same things. We're all caring about, our democracy and the state of it where it's at.
Yeah.
And there are so many people around you that, I mean, and I've gotten this from firsthand experience in organizing. East Tennessee, Ruby Red area, 30% turnout of eligible voters. 30. That's
Yeah.
it. What difference? And that's for national elections. It gets lower as you go into local.
Hmm.
Yeah.
If you turn out, like, if I could have, and I remember that commissioner's race that we tried to organize for. If I could have just got 105 more college kids
Right.
to turn out, what could we have done?
Yeah.
Right.
Ordinances that are going to affect them. that are going to affect like parking, that are going to affect housing, that are going to affect all these things, right? What could we have done?
Yeah.
And so it's the difference between what we're trying to do and this performative patriotism. The flags now, like it's funny because Danny was like, "Oh, I see an American flag," and I kind of get that to a degree. But what's hilarious is, or what's sad, I should say, is they've moved away from the American flag. They have like the what is it, the thin blue line one where they've got
Right.
like
Right.
it's black and gray, and then there's a thin blue line, or it's
Yeah.
black and
Don't
gray, and
tread on me, or
the
Oh,
Gaston flag.
Eliza. Oh, sorry, I don't want to cut in, but before this comment disappears in the thread, Eliza writes, because of Fred's guidance, we organized a town crier meeting in Richland, Maine.
Yeah, that's right. I remember she
hell
told me about
yeah.
that. That was
That's
so awesome. I
awesome.
love
And
that.
representatives and state senators came. See, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I also have to say, we've well cracked the 100 folks here live. This is only our second live genXy podcast, so thank you
Yeah.
guys for all showing up. Frederic, you brought a lot of folks with
Right.
you,
Let's be honest.
but
These are
welcome.
fans of
No,
Frederick
it's
who.
It's great to have you
it's
all
you guys. I
here.
mean, you gave me a reason to go live. So, instead of rambling for 2 hours about
I
everything
Well,
love
we
it.
just
What I'm hearing net out here that I love is like Frederick's community getting involved, grassroots stuff,
that's
combined
like
with
that's the
Lawrence's like,
best.
yeah,
That's the best.
combining with Lawrence's virtual, like, how could the reach be of challenging absolutely everyone to take this oath and come like because I'm a word nerd and in marketing, like framing really matters. And to me, that's one of, like, there was no question that what the Democrats want to do is better, but we don't know how to message it in a way that resonates. Unlike the moron in charge right now who had that whole, like, she's for they, them, he's for you. Like, I hate that tagline. That was brilliant writing to dumb it down.
Right. It
Yeah.
worked.
And Lawrence, I love this message of like nobody could get angry about taking an oath to the Constitution.
Right.
And the left, the liberals don't tend to do rah-rah patriotic stuff like that, but now is the time, and to do it with the intent of like the only way this works is if we're active, and hey, our leaders, we're all here and active, and it's your job to represent us now. Like, get off your asses and stop aligning with all of this. Get a
Yeah.
little bit more Booker in your step and challenge.
Well.
Like the combination of the local grassroots activism and then starting with like an online, like we can't all be in the same room to take the oath together, but if we start to have a groundswelling of that, I feel like, God, I hate to use the word flywheel again since that was the class I just took, but like that's going to create momentum of like when people feel more empowered because they've taken an oath. Now what can I do next? Oh, well, let me rally in my community and see what I
Right.
can do here.
Right. And then, sorry, I'm
Yeah, no,
bursting.
go.
And Frederic, I think what part of what you're saying, why it's so important, why it's so incredibly, incredibly important is, I'm referencing my brother-in-law again. He grew up in Indiana, right?
Mhm.
And Indiana is a state where they're full of cute little towns that 50 years ago were the hubs of industry, right?
Yeah.
There was a big GE plant or a big Ford plant or GM plant, something in each one of those towns that was the heart of that community that people organized and lived and worked. And 50 years later, you go to those towns and they're empty. They're ghost towns, beautiful old houses, cool old buildings, empty of people, because we have for the last 50 plus years forgotten how to organize as a community and how to,
Yes.
demand that we need good jobs. We need housing. We need affordable health care and affordable food and safe communities for our kids to grow up in. And I think part of, Frederic, what you're talking about around the kind of community piece, the community organizing, is getting people maybe to reinvest in some of those places that we've forgotten about.
Right.
There are
Yeah.
farmers and machinists who've never haven't listened to a Democrat in 50 years because Democrats didn't talk to those people, right? And I think any kind of leadership, anything that said basically like, come join us as we kind of take the power of our Constitution back and reinvest in our communities. I think that's a thing that people could get excited about and organize around, because it is, Frederic, about community and about organizing people together and showing that good works can have a real impact in the world.
I like
Yes.
when I
Heart,
was
heart, 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 heart.
when I was at ETSU, like at East Tennessee State. So I'm going to my second year of grad school, and I like it was Obama. It's 2012, so it's Obama's like he's running for re-election. So this is like, man, this is like early August, somewhere around there, and like the gauntlet was thrown out, like if you see something wrong or you see something that he's doing, you do it. I was like,
Right.
okay. I worked in the university center, so basically we ran the building. So I had touch points with student affairs, conferences, all this stuff. So I knew like everybody in all these departments for all the student activity stuff. And I was like, what can I do? What can I do? And I was like, there was no college Democrats on campus. None. They had college Republicans, but no college Democrats.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'll do that. I'll organize the college Democrats, bring them back, because they've been gone for like 3 or 4 years at that point. So I literally like sat at a computer, made a hey college Democrats meeting this time, printed it up. I knew because I was the one that cleared the boards. I knew where the most traffic was. Facebook was around, but I didn't have Facebook, right? So I'm literally making flyers. I said it like 3 days later. 3 other people showed up, so it was me and three other kids. So it was four of us. And I said, well, we got to elect officers so we can, create this charter. It was like, well, Fred, you organized the meeting, so you be president. So I said, I became president in the best way possible. I was just appointed. I wasn't elected.
Nice.
So it's great. You know, but by the end of that year, we had 120 students in college Democrats at ETSU,
Bravo.
right?
Nice.
And we did educational stuff where like we had we work with other student organizations to do like information education seminars on abortion and women's rights, to Southern strategy, and I mean you name it.
Love it.
That's how I actually met Bob Saska and Jessica Valenti's sister, Vanessa Valenti. At the time, they were
Oh,
running a blog called Feministing, right?
oh, I remember that blog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I got Vanessa, and I got Ches Pazienza, Bob Saska, and then Professor Brown from our university. And this is how prophetic it was, right? I organized a panel that was social media's influence on electoral politics in the US in
Oh my God.
2012,
Yeah.
because
Wow.
Twitter had played somewhat of a role in Obama's election. Little did I know, in 4 years we were going to have
Right. Right.
Cambridge Analytica and everything else, right? So basically, the point of the panel was to educate people of like, they could lie to you on social media. You have to be careful about that.
Right.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
boy.
But
If
but
only we had known.
I got that like that panel was paid for. We raised $5,000 from nothing. And again, I started out with just me going, let me do this. And I had three other students.
Yeah.
That was it. And it went to this whole thing, and we did a lot of good work. And so the thing is like, man, what can I do? You can do more than you think. You really
Right.
can. Even if it's just getting two people and meeting for coffee. What should we do?
Even
You
if
Yeah.
know,
it's hopping on a live stream and chatting with 136 of your new best friends online,
I couldn't believe that
getting
people
a
organized something in Maine. Like it was just like get and elected representatives were coming on down. I'm like, yes, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what we need to do in each of our communities, for sure.
Because like you said, man, it's like the tough part I had in East Tennessee was you're not going to get an elected representative to come down there because it's not worth it. They don't think it's worth it to them, right?
Right.
So you be that representative. You go talk to folks and you go find out what people need, right?
Yep.
And then you go to the rep and say, we need this. And then when they don't give it to you, like Lauren Boebert in my district, you say, oh,
Oh
guess what
God,
she
you're in
hasn't
Lauren
done?
Boebert's district.
You know, guess what? Oh yeah, I am. Yeah, I tried.
Wait.
We had like an actual man. We could have had such like Trisha Calaveras,
Mm-hmm.
man, former labor organizer. All these good ideas. Like she's from the area, so she's not a carpetbagger.
Yeah.
Right.
She literally came home to do end of life care for I think one of her like her mom.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Just great woman, and I was like, I was like, I'm gonna go organize for this woman. I love her story. Like, so we did, and we lost, but I was like, I got Lauren Boebert. Yeah, gosh. And I've run into, knocking on doors, and I'm running into the Boebert supporters, and it's like, it's about abortion. I'm like, well, she's not your advocate, bro. I'm
Right.
telling you right now.
And
Yeah. Like,
clearly not just about that for her or
no,
for them.
but that I think like the Constitution, and this kind of oath, right? And that can be a starting point because the hard part that we're up against is Sinclair Broadcasting and Fox News and all this BS has tried to paint us as we're these monsters, we're these this, woke and all this pejoratives and blah blah blah. The more you talk to these people, it breaks that down, right?
Yeah.
It shows these other folks that you are a real person, you live in their community, you probably have the same concerns they do. Because if you've got bad roads in your community, guess what? Liberals care about the fact that there's bad roads in your community. If your schools are terrible, guess what? Liberals and conservatives care about the same bad schools.
Absolutely.
You live in a food desert and you can't get good food in there, guess what? Liberals and conservatives care about the same thing.
Yep.
And it's just trying to talk to these folks and say, a jackass con man from New York in Washington, D.C., who can't be bothered to show up for 4 soldiers' funerals for
Yeah.
a dignified transfer ceremony,
Seriously.
wants to play golf at his own tournament so he can win. Like, man, I don't care. So then that's what I would ask the MAGA folk. Is that what you elected him to do?
Right. Right.
Is that what you sent him to Washington to do?
Right.
To go play golf?
Right.
Right?
And
Like,
also crash the economy, crash the
yeah,
economy and then go play golf and miss the dignified transfer. That's what you elected? You wanted that? Wow.
yeah. Like, so the thing is, like,
Yeah.
let's say for the sake of argument that the tariffs on paper look good. Well, when it's crashing, you know what happens there, Mr. President? You cut your golf trip short, you come the hell back.
Right.
You calm things down. That's what we would expect Joe Biden to do. That's
Right.
what we would expect Obama to do. Why does he get a pass?
That is the eternal question. Why does he get a pass? Like we were talking about this,
All,
I think
all
before you
I'm asking
joined.
is take the
Let's
same energy you've
right.
got for holding Joe Biden and Obama accountable and put that on your boy.
Yeah.
I
Take the
will
same
never
energy.
understand. I think this we were talking about this before you joined, Frederic, of like, why am I the one who has to care about the fact that, he so disrespected these soldiers and uh, like it is traditionally the bread and butter of Republicans to almost fetishize the military and honoring them. And not that you don't deserve honor, but like I hear it in my father before he had dementia, like he and his wife were staunch Trump supporters. And I mean, no one in my family's ever been in the military, but there was this like, you know, deference. It was stronger than deference because it was kind of grotesque and it was mixed in with the Trump thing. And I'm like, your dude didn't serve. Like, why are you putting these together? How do you not see he dodged? I don't get it.
But
I'm
here,
even seeing people online who are like, being mad about the economy crashing and how this is a chance for billionaires to go pick up the bargain stocks while our 401ks are tanking. And I've just seen people being like, we middle class people are getting deals too. And I was like, you're a moron. Like, no, you're not. You don't
but
know what you
that's
can't
the
you can't ride this wave, child.
yeah,
I'm a child.
that's delusion. That's like I don't want to. That's denial. Is all that is.
Yeah.
I don't want to admit that. My
Yeah,
thing is though is like if okay, let's skip all the burn spur stuff. Let's skip all that. We'll put all that aside. Let's talk about right now. Okay,
Yeah.
how is cutting the VA of tens of thousands of
Right?
VA personnel honoring our troops?
not at all.
How is it when VA physicians are coming out and telling you the harm you're going to do to veterans honoring our veterans?
Right?
How is it trying to privatize the VA that no veteran organization wants? I mean, the VFW, who is never gets involved in politics, even though they're right wing, but they never get involved in politics, comes out and says, you're wrong. And you ignore that. No veterans groups wants this. Veterans VA physicians are saying this is messed up. Veterans are telling you it's messed up. And so how is this honoring our troops? You know,
Yeah,
answer me that. And so the thing is like if I'm expected on my this is the thing that kills me, right? We expect Democrats to be the adults in the room. Okay? And we hold our side accountable. Why can't you hold your side accountable?
absolutely. Amen.
I
Yeah.
okay, it's okay. The tariffs are going to work at some point. How?
Well,
Where's the math? If
right.
we have to show our math and we have to do all this stuff, why can't you do it?
Yep. Well, and then the trap, right? Because everyone, the media, Republicans, everyone holds Democrats accountable to what they say and do,
Right.
right? And then Democrats get scared to say or do anything because they're so worried about
Yes.
getting attacked for even saying the most mild thing, like, hey, maybe we should not vote for the continuing resolution because we actually need to let the Republicans own their own consequences for their actions. It's this weird catch 22 that the Democrats get put in. Not that I'm really defending the Democratic Party at this point. It's just this insane thing that is now a feature of American democracy and not a bug.
Mhm.
Here's the thing that I see a lot of Democrats fail on, right? I'm talking about leaders and us supporters where we get scared, right? Is we feel like the facts and evidence and all that will sway the other side and they won't, right?
Right.
Right.
You got to understand this is a contest of ideals.
I
And
love
the
that.
other
A contest of ideals.
it is. It's a
Simple.
con. And it always has been, right? So what that means is you don't have to equivocate if you think this is right. We're just talking about the implementation. So let's say this. I think trans people are people. They deserve to be treated as people. They deserve civil rights. Yeah, well, what about trans people playing on sports teams? We can talk about that, but circle back. Do you agree trans people are people? Do
Right.
you agree they deserve civil rights? Do you believe they deserve a space in a society as people should have? If you don't agree with that, we can't have the conversation about sports or anything else.
Right.
Excellent way to
And
frame that. Because
and
sorry, go ahead,
if
Lori.
you're forcing that conversation because you don't want to talk about that your guy doesn't know how freaking tariffs work or is on the verge of starting a war with Iran or something, don't use that conversation about trans folks playing on sports teams as a way of blocking any consequences for your dude. That's insane.
100%. And that's what they do. Is so what they do is they'll get you into this little they're like the thing you got to understand about Republicans and you got to understand about conservatives, that kind of thing, is they don't have to because they're status quo. They don't have to fight. They don't have to win an argument. They just have to exhaust you,
Right.
right?
Oh,
They just
yeah.
have to fight to a draw. That's it. That's what they try to do. So the thing is, don't take the bait.
Right.
You have your ideals, right? Stand
Mhm.
on them. Well, there was this one incident in West Virginia or here and here where a girl took a spot on a because she was trans, and I ain't talking about that.
Right.
Yep.
Give me the evidence. We'll talk about that later. I'm asking you: do you think trans people are people? Do they deserve civil rights? Yes or no? Well, no. Come back.
Yep.
Right. And you do that with everything. If and it really comes down to is if it's supposed to, if this is the truth, why ain't it working? Oh, tariffs are gonna make us rich. Though they're not making us rich so far.
No,
Yeah.
they are
So far
not.
enough.
It's like, well, they're gonna make us rich. How? And then
Right.
you just you force them to explain. I know that you're right, Lisa. They never answer. But what you do is you keep what eventually you force them to explain. You always come back and get to the heart of the issue,
Yep.
right? And when they challenge you, why do you think trans people should, or why do you think women should have, access to abortion? Because of body autonomy, and I think when the government overly gets involved in people's bodily autonomy decisions, they fuck it up.
Yep.
Well,
100%
what
that.
about little babies? It's like, listen, man, I'm telling you, on this situation, I'm right. How are you right? Like when body autonomy, without that, nothing else matters.
Yep.
If you don't have control of your own body, you can't have civil rights. You can't, it doesn't matter if you're voting rights. It doesn't matter if you have the Second Amendment. If you do
Preach.
not have rights over your
Yep.
own body, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Yep.
And women are people, right?
Weird.
So
We
they
are.
get,
Wait.
yeah.
So you
But
stop for a
that's what you
second.
tell. See, that's how you get them.
Can
You
you say
go,
that again slowly? I'm
it's
teasing,
like
but
you,
yeah.
it's like, so it was like, well, I don't think women should. No. Hold on then. Hold on. So you saying women aren't people? Well, that's not what I'm saying. Is like, well, you're denying them body autonomy, right? You agree with me over here that all my other civil rights are bunk if I don't have body autonomy.
Yep.
So if I'm a person and I have body autonomy because that reinforces everything else, and women are people, don't they get that too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna. We're approaching the bottom of the hour. My phone battery is about to completely and utterly crash out any second
Yes.
here, and I got to go bake some chocolate chip cookies to bring to family dinner. So
I
Man,
have mine on a charger.
I need to go. How far is Fort Wayne from here? I gotta.
let me tell you something, brother. They are good chocolate chip cookies. I know what I'm doing when it comes to baking chocolate chip cookies.
Lawrence is going to make someone a fine
I
wife
did
one
not.
day.
I
He
did
is
not
good
get
in the
this body
kitchen.
by not knowing how to bake cookies.
He is
Right?
good in a kitchen. This
A good
There
guy.
you
in the
go.
kitchen.
Well, I appreciate y'all letting me jump in here. I had a good
It was
time.
our pleasure, Frederic.
We
You
appreciate
Yeah.
you too, Joe.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone in the
Anytime y'all
comments.
want me, I'm available. Just hit me up.
All
Well,
right,
absolutely, and
I'm
same.
leaving the country in a few days, so we're going to be doing this from me overseas. But I'll be back in by not well. It's not a very long trip, and then we're gonna have that dating Riz,
We need to do that
exploration.
one.
That one is going to be huge.
Yeah.
We
And
all have a
Frederic,
lot to say.
while Dana's in Ireland, we should definitely do like a Beard Brothers
Yes,
Yeah.
something going on. So
yes.
We'll do what are the She Man Woman Haters Club from the Rascals.
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah,
Thank you
that
guys so much
wow.
for joining. Sorry we couldn't get to all of your comments, but we
Yeah.
are I've been writing back to some of them. You're great, Sarah. And Sarah, I think you were the first one here, one of the very first. Thank you for sticking around.
Thanks everybody.
This has been
We'll get this
so
posted as soon
fun.
as we can. And thanks for yeah,
Take
just
the
thanks for
oath.
everything.
Take
Have a
the
good one.
oath.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Defend
Take care.
democracy. Love you,
Bye
mean it.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.